what your stepped is. There's still some icy spots right around here. The weatherman disappointed us. He said it was going to be 40 every day this week, but the sun hasn't been out. Oh, that door's open. You can, I'll put the lights on. You can take pictures. I've had many a heavy hitter try to buy in. When I bought this one, it had just under 1,800 original miles. This is all hot, the keeping room, fireplace hardware here. Cooking, all kinds of cooking utensils here. See, like here's an interesting little piece. This little piece here.
Are we roasting a nut? What are we doing?
This piece here was used by the Army, like back in Washington State. When the Army was on a march, they would put hot coals in here, put coffee or chestnut nuts in here, and roast them. See, that's something small enough they could carry on a horse.
Where you need to go if you're looking for a piece for your hearth. Fireplace.
Yeah.
Right here. This is it.
Well, see,
This is no reef.
I outgrew that room.
Someone had told you 60 years ago you'd have 3 buildings full. What you would have said to them?
You're full of it. Here's a tool that is interesting. That's a pit saw that they sawed to make boards, not to saw trees down, to make boards. And another interesting tool here I like is this plane.
Oh yeah, that's an old one.
Well, he made that out of a tree. It's not that it's terribly valuable, but it's interesting. Yeah. See, I like things that are interesting. See, here's a tool here. I'm not into railroad things, but that's a railroad tool. That's to dig out the old ties. Yeah, dig them out. It's not that it's valuable or rare, but it's interesting. See, I like it. I like to buy things that are interesting to me. Yeah. You go wherever you want. In here, these are all early 19th century doors. Yeah. Over here, that's early sash.
Mantles?
This room is all mantles.
Wow. Were people bringing in mantles at one point? Or
Oh, they still do.
they still must?
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Couldn't have taken everyone.
And the last room, this is all the early doors in here. These are all 18th century doors in there. You'll get the bill.
All right, let's start by, you can just tell me your name and, where we are right now.
Well, my name is Rudy Rzeznikiewicz, And we're at 12 Gorman Road in Brooklyn.
And you were born on this property in 1929. And
That's good.
What does it feel like to be here 97 years later?
Lucky to be here 96 years later. Yeah, that's luck. I saw it change slowly, not overnight. That's the main thing. You know, some places a big development comes in overnight. This grew slowly, so you adjusted to it that way. From here, these three houses, from here to Fortin Drive, there was one house at the intersection of Allen Hills. They finally trashed it down, building new houses there. You know where.
Yep.
And the one at the golf course. Mm-hmm. There were two houses between here and Fortin Drive. You know, I grew up during the Depression, and I think of it, my father had a retail milk route, and most of his customers worked in the local factories. And they got laid off. But my father kept bringing them milk, which is fine. But I don't know how he paid his bills. And some of the people would help him occasionally when he was doing hay or corn. And I went to grammar school during the Depression, and I never saw any kids come to school in the wintertime with a torn-up jacket or didn't have enough clothes. I never heard a kid say they were hungry. Not like today. I've had a teacher from the school stop here one day. She said, "Rudy, I have kids that come to school and complain to me they're hungry." I find that hard to believe in this day and age. That mother doesn't feed them. There's something wrong. Everybody always got to have something new. Well, buildings today new aren't built as good as they were years ago. When they were built then, they were built to last. And now a building costs millions. 20 years later, they want a new one. World War II ended when I was in high school. And I remember I took this teacher, I liked her. I took her steam out of her that morning. For some reason, I heard on the radio, World War II ended. Walked into her class, and I had to sit right next to her for some reason. Whether she hated me or liked me, I don't know. And she said, "I got great news for you kids today." I said, "The war ended." I took it out of her. Intentionally. Yeah. My father, I don't know too much about him because he died, I was only out of high school young. At that age, you're not too much into your parents' history. I know a lot more about my mother. And my mother, it amazes me, she came into this country at the age of 15 alone, with nobody in her family. There's some other people in that village, and because you had to be 16, she told me, to come into the country alone. Well, she borrowed her sister's name to come in here. So my father, he became a citizen right away, but my mother didn't. Every year she had to fill out a card. And when Eisenhower became president, he wanted all these people that had been in the country forever to become citizens. And he put a push on, and she became a citizen. Yeah. In the later 30s, Doctor bought the property next door, and he got the power run up here. So I remember as a kid, I'm following a guy around that wired up our property, watching him do all the electrical work. So I was probably, well, it was before the hurricane, so I was probably like 6 or 7 years old when we got electricity here. I didn't have any particular plans.
Yeah.
I stayed out of school sometimes to help my father when he needed more help when I was in high school. But I didn't have any plans yet, and my father's death changed everything, yeah. His death changed my plans from no plans to being a farmer, yeah,
So
which I didn't mind.
in 1949, you took over the dairy operation?
Well, I didn't take it over on my own, so to speak. I took it over with my mother. Yeah, we farmed together. My mother was down the barn in the morning, feeding the cows, milking the cows. I remember my mother milking cows by hand with my father, but he got machines when I was still in high school. And then she used to, when my father peddled his milk, she used to wash all the bottles and fill the milk bottles. Yeah. Oh no, my mother, she worked all day. We used to plant corn in the field by the barn. If she had done her other work, wasn't in the garden or wherever, she took a hoe and went out in the cornfield and hoed the corn. My mother did make cheese, and she made butter. She made only cottage cheese. That's the only cheese I'll eat. What she did to relax, she used to braid rugs. That was her downtime. We had two schools in Brooklyn, one in the center and one in East Brooklyn. The one in East Brooklyn, which I went to, was located on the corner of South Street and South Main Street. And there's a park there now. It was a brick building, and it had 3 floors. The 3rd floor was wood, and the hurricane wiped that off. And within about a week, we didn't go to school, they had turned that into a 2-story building. Made a flat roof on top of the 2nd floor. Had a little building on top, the belfry, and we were back in school. Some of the debris was still laying around there, but we were back in school. And there were branches in the road that the bus went around. And I walked home from Route 6. I walked home behind the wall where the wind didn't carry me, because I got off the bus right during the heart of the storm. I had 2 sisters. They were high school age girls. And we watched out the window when the neighbor's barn went up like a balloon. And we were fortunate. My father was fortunate. He only had to reshingle one side of the barn, and a little chicken coop got thrown upside down. So building-wise, we were fortunate. Well, I had to go get the cows every day. And the cows, we had 2 pastures. One on this side of Ennis Road, and one on the other side of the road. And the pasture on the other side of the road, it went all the way to Allen Hill. It's time to go get the cows, and you look out there, and they're way out there by Allen Hill. And I had to chase them across Ennis Road. It was going to be a long walk to get the cows and to bring them home. And on this side of the road, they went all the way up to the house on Allen Hill, to the backyard. So, and when my father was planting corn or cultivating corn, I led the horse that pulled the disc, the cultivator or the planter. I walked in the other row, and you had a stick with a snap, so you didn't have to be like this with the horse. You walked here, and you just kept them in a row.
So when you were a boy, everything around here was done by horse?
Oh, yeah.
And was it difficult for you to let the cows go, or?
No, it wasn't. At that point, it wasn't. No, I actually gave them to my son. And I said to Kevin, I said, next year, you can have them next year. You can either start milking them or sell them. And I wasn't disappointed. He said, we'll sell them. He would have worked hard and been broke all his life.
Right.
Now, he'll have a little business that he can pay his bills with.
And go on a vacation.
Well, he's like his father. He don't know what vacations are.
A getaway.
When I got rid of the cows in '95, this little business was building a little. And it was interfering a lot with the farming. And farming was always a challenge then and worse now to take in enough money to pay your bills. So when I got rid of the cows, we had about 75 animals. Yeah. My father, he probably had like maybe 25. Yeah. And back when my father was farming, they didn't make much money, but they weren't in debt either. They didn't buy anything unless they could pay for it. And unfortunately for the big farmers, they got to borrow money. And the banks, the farm banks, like Production Credit, they don't want to loan money, but they have to. They got to keep loaning money to keep them in business. So they're both borderline. And if that big farmer goes out, nobody's going to buy him out. Because if a tractor costs $1 million, what's a farm going to cost with all the equipment, the property, and everything? Nobody's going to buy him out. If somebody in the family doesn't take it over, it's going to go by the wayside. Yeah. What I would spend on, like, my biggest tractor is a 100 horsepower tractor. My mother and I bought that new in 1970 for $7,000. Today, that tractor probably costs $100,000. Back then, a farm would have cost less than $100,000. The inflation of everything is the thing. Yeah. Groceries. You used to go to the store, buy a week's groceries for $20. Now, a bag costs you $50 or $100. Weather is always the farmer's biggest challenge.
Yeah, still today, worse.
Well, when it comes to you doing your field work, you get a wet year, tough to get your crops planted, trouble to get them harvested. A drought year, you don't have any crops. So, yeah, the weather can be the farmer's enemy or a godsend, either one. I don't do the hay. All I do now is I mow it and I bale it. I might tether it if Kevin's busy, but I don't physically handle any bales anymore. Yeah. Two things. One, I usually have some beef animals. Kevin and his wife have a horse and donkey. I spend a lot of time and effort making those fields, and I don't want to see them destroyed. I want to keep them productive. When I got married, my firstborn little girl had major medical problems. And she was in Day Kimball and at the Children's Hospital for super major surgery. And that first year, she spent 9 or 10 months in the hospitals. And people didn't have insurance then. And I never did add up all what the bills came to. But I had to be paying 2 hospitals, doctors. So I did anything I could alongside with farming to make a little extra money. I used to gravel people's driveways, or I'd do something with their with my tractor for them. And then I was asked to drive school bus, and I did that for a couple of years. And then I got promoted by accident. I was asked to be the substitute rural carrier. And I used to work like 2 or 3 months out of the year, and that was a good paying job. And when I was doing the bus or the post office, I was at the barn at 4 o'clock in the morning. The regular carrier got sick, and I had to work full time. And I told the postmaster I didn't want to stay on as a substitute because I wouldn't be putting any time in. And that same fall, the town bought a house for a demo to expand the town hall. And they advertised it for demo, and I said, well, I don't have anything going on outside the farm right now.
About what year was this?
That would have been in 1960, the fall of 1960.
Between the town hall and the gas station.
Yep.
And you said it almost started by accident. You want to
Yeah, well, by accident, I put a bid in, and I soon found out it was a big house. I soon found out there was a lot more material than I had any use for. So I put an ad in the paper, and there was a lady in Norwich that was in this business on a much smaller scale than I was, and she bought material from me. And then a local fellow popped in one day, and he said, will you take a house down for me? And that was an even earlier house, so without trying, I'm in a business. Because I always had a safe, clean site, I was offered more buildings, and I never went looking for them. They came to me. I did buy several buildings at auction. Let's see. 5 or 6 buildings at auction to demo. Yeah, I needed more space right away, and I didn't want to build a building over there because I only owned part of the farm. My mother owned part of it, and my youngest brother owned part of it. And I hated to spend the money that I didn't have to put up the building because I didn't know what the future would be on the farm. So the fellow on this property came over one day and said, I want you to take those 2 buildings down for me. I said, why take them down when I can buy them? And that's what happened. Yeah, that's what gave me the storage room. Yeah, that's what made me a little bigger operation. I'm not a huge operation. I'm just a small-time operation, but this gave me the room I needed. And believe me, when I bought these buildings, all the doors I had at that time would have fit in one corner of this room. Oh, I had a lot of empty space, which I didn't mind. There were some fellows who wanted to rent some. I said, no. Do
you think of yourself as a collector or a caretaker of history?
Well, I'm not really a collector. I only collect old tools. I'm not going to buy an old bottle. I have old bottles that I gave to my son. They got into digging bottles. The coins are there. And I collected some other coins, but I haven't touched coins because I haven't had time for years. So I don't go out of my way to buy material. Now, I got a call today, a lady, 6 o'clock this morning, an old customer. Her husband passed away, I knew that. And she called me up to tell me she has cancer. So she wants me to buy her things. So that's how you add to your inventory. Somebody in a trade passes away or something, and I buy single things, and I can buy a lot of things. Yeah, so then I buy from people in the business. It comes all kinds of ways. I'm more selective now because you fellows can see I don't have any extra room. I didn't have a head start, like I've told people. I didn't have any shelves, never mind something to put on them. Like to go see this lady and buy her things. I've added an inventory for my son, not for me. Maybe I'll sell a few of them, but I want to keep that inventory up so he has a head start. It's not a matter of accumulating money. Don't try to start on big. You start small, and you takes years to build it up little at a time. Down the road, you're gonna go under. If you want to get big in a hurry, usually you're not gonna make it unless something luck happens to you that you come into some money. But any business, somebody opens a restaurant. He opens up a little restaurant. And if it works, he gets bigger. But he doesn't start off big. Yeah, big isn't always better. The only thing I hang on to today is I collect some old tools. I had a nose for finding coins. I found coins occasionally. I kept those. And I found bottles. I kept those. You can come in here. Oh, he's putting wood in there, yeah. See, Kevin's my son. Yep. He works with me.
Yep.
This is his. When I'm gone, it's not going anywhere.
No,
Kevin's going to be here. Yep. I hate to be sitting around in the daytime when the sun is shining.